My guest today was held for 14 years in Guantanamo Bay without a single charge brought against him. Beatings, tailored regimen of torture techniques with environmental manipulation, years of endless darkness. Yet this man found light and hope and a will to never let this experience break him. A radiating smile and an utmost compassion and humanity and a sense of humor that penetrates your soul and speaks volumes. Mohamedou Ould Slahi, a special person that I'm honored to welcome on today's episode of Al Majlis. This podcast is brought to you by Penny Appeal Australia.
Let's remember those who don't have access to clean and safe drinking water.
We met the organization and they supported us with this water hand pipe. So now I am enjoying the benefits of this water and giving it to my family.
Since the 2004 tsunami, it's been 13 years of them drinking the same contaminated water until today, and I'm so happy to see them enjoy it. However, there are many families out there still who don't have this privilege. So for as little as $400, you can build a well that will sustain the livelihood of a whole community. So check out pennyappeal.org.au to make a difference now.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Mohamedou. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you for having me on your beautiful program.
Yes, Al Majlis is like honored to have you actually. I cannot believe I got a hold of you. I know you have a busy schedule, but alhamdulillah, this is happening.
I'm glad.
So you're in Sharjah now?
I'm in Dubai.
Dubai.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're doing like I saw like on your socials that you're doing some books. Is it like a book fair? What is happening exactly there?
Yeah, there is this book fair in Sharjah.
Yeah.
I went there, and then because I want to sign some books, they told me all your books were sold. There is no more.
No way.
And I didn't know whether to feel proud and happy or sad, because I really wanted to sign some books and make a picture holding my book in the Arabic version. And I talked to the head of the house. Dar Saqi is from Lebanon. I think this is your country of origin,
Yes.
I presume.
Yes.
And he told me how hard it is for the printing business, like, and I know that already.
Yeah.
But we really have a real problem that so many people reach out to me and they said they couldn't find my book. And I was talking to him about the logistic, how they could, how we could like make sure that it reaches the readers, because it's really like, you know, a lot of people really want to read it, and they cannot find it. So that's one thing. The other thing, I'm here also mainly to promote like tourism and culture, Mauritanian culture, in Dubai, in this Expo 2020. And yeah, we need to promote our culture. We need to promote, you know, this is for me is my da'wah.
Yeah.
Because you cannot hate us if you know that we can produce something like هل درى ظبي الحمى أن قد حمى قلب صب حله عن مكنسي فهو في حر وشوق مثل ما لعبت ريح الصبا بالقبس يا بدورا أشرقت يوم النوى غررا تسلك في نهج الغرام ما لقلبي في الهوى ذنب سوى منكم الحسن ومن عين النظر, and so on and so forth. And like, you cannot hate us if you can hear our music, if you can read our poetry. You know? Yes, and I really believe in culture. And I read somewhere that 90% of entertainment comes from the United States of America. And a lot of people think that America is so powerful because of its hard power. I don't know, maybe they call it hard power, like weapons. But this is like a misconception. America is so strong because of the soft power. And
they're good marketers.
I showed the other time the video.
Good marketers. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, everybody listens. Like my sister are very how would I say?
Americanized.
I want to say very reverent and very open, but very reverent. And they put 50 cents.
Yes, I saw that video. 50 cents. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they did not need to put 50 cents on the video.
Yeah, so, I know. Yes. Very explicit stuff.
Yes. So like they sent,
I never say anything.
Yes.
I never say anything because instead of being in my own room, enjoy the music, I just listen to it with them. And I'm the only one who get cringes.
So long as I don't understand what it is, I guess it's a catchy tune, as I said. So you said now.
I'm a very big believer that we need to promote our culture because our culture is a culture of peace and understanding. And this is a fact. One of the things that, because I was so obsessed, I'm still with my head in prison and I'm so obsessed with like innocent people who spent so much time in prison who were innocent. I'm obsessed with the secret documents. And I went and dug up documents about Mauritania in WikiLeaks. And one of them, the embassy wrote back, and was in the midst, in the thick of so-called war and terror,
Yeah.
They wrote to the American, I think they call it dispatch, brief, I don't know what it's called. They make it regularly about the country. So every time they send about the country, you can go. One of the things that they keep emphasizing, at least that Mauritania, the Mauritanian people are very peaceful people. And they keep saying you are not going to understand this, but their religion, it's very peaceful,
Yes.
And I see this as a fact, and I'm not going to overemphasize anything about peace or anything, because I believe in peace, but I'm not trying to convince anyone to believe the same thing. And American always ask me this question, like interrogators, is your religion a peaceful religion? I say, I don't know. You can make out anything.
A different interpretation of it.
Yeah. Every religion, like he said, in your religion, it says so and so. I laugh. I said, do you want to show you the Bible? Because I know the Bible and I believe in the Bible, He was laughing because he was rhapsodily, because he read the Bible too. He was laughing. He said, I know what you want to show me. I said, I'm not going to get into this discussion to prove anything. I just wish that people understand each other, because I believe in cooperation between people, no matter what their religions. And I learned this even more in prison when I have so much support from non-Muslims. The vast majority of my supporters were non-Muslims, Jewish people, Christian people who identify with no religion. And this is something we need to cooperate with, and we need to get out of this Muslim and Arab shell and embrace the other, and show them that we love them, we are good. And
yeah, subhanallah. So it's good that you mentioned that you're now being an ambassador of Mauritania, because to be honest, I'm just gonna share this and I'm gonna be very honest about it. I really didn't know that much about Mauritania. I was surprised that you guys speak Arabic. I was super surprised about that. I did not know where the location is. I know it's Africa. I'm like, where is it? And I started researching about it. I'm an Arab and I didn't know about Mauritania. The first time I've heard about it is not through your story. It was through Sheikh Hamza Youssef. He studied there and he speaks about Mauritania and about learning in the desert and about how much they connected to the Arabic language, connected to the deen. And I've heard some of your interviews that you said that you're from the tribe of books, and there's the tribes of weapons, and there's like different tribes in Mauritania now. Maybe like it's not the same as before when you grew up, because like you were like before, like in Mauritania, like years ago. But can you just a little bit just give the audience a little bit of an image of what your childhood was in Mauritania? How did you move from Mauritania to Germany? Just a brief history of who Mohamedou is and how you grew up in Mauritania.
So, I remember vividly this one day,
Yeah.
and back in the day, so I went to school by accident because I was supposed to be like my father, a camel herder. And it was my dream. And I always, I never understood why children can't ride the baby camels. And I asked my father to ride it. And he said, it needs to be like tame.
Yeah.
And then I said, but it's small. I was always discussing with him. I was very small. And I started to ride when I was 5, riding big camels alone. And about 5, I don't remember exactly. And I saw how my father dealt with camels, this friendship. So my father would call the camel and the camel would come to him. But if anyone else called the camel, the same camel, they wouldn't come to. They have different like trust levels. So when we moved to the city, it was like a fight that was won by my mother, because my father was pinned down and he really didn't want to leave the old ways. But the drought was sweeping the country since I think even the 60s, but the 70s really were bad, and almost all our camels died. And so my mother was like decisive person, like she knows when to draw the line. My father did not draw the line. He said he was just would keep going, and my mother said no more. She moved to the city with us, and he stayed with the camels, and he only would visit us very rarely. So the older brothers went to find job, and I was too small, like 7, to find a job. And I always want to be a tailor because I heard they get money. But they said I wasn't really qualified. They sent me to school. And I fell in love with school. So I remember this day. So we go 2 times during the day, from 8 to 12, and then we take a break. And then we come back. So 2 from 3 to 5. So 3 hours play. And I walked to school. It was like about 1 mile away.
Yeah.
And then I remember this day was so hot, like 2:30 in the afternoon. And I didn't have shoes. So I would walk and then stop to cool down my feet, stop when there are trees and then cool down. But this nosy neighbor of us stopped me on the way and she said, why don't you put on your shoes? And I was ashamed to tell her I didn't have any shoes. So she kept just lecturing me, but I didn't want to hear her lecture. I just wanted to move on, nor could I tell her that I didn't have shoes, because that would shame me, at least in my head. Then I told her, I'm going back. Thank you for the advice. I went back and took another route, longer route. I still feel the pinch and the heat on my feet to this day, like when I think about it. And I used like to have nightmares, And And so forward, like, so usually they do like 6 years. I don't know your country, 6 years, like
6 years of schooling.
yes, like what you call elementary school. I think in the US.
Yes, it is the same thing here. It's year 1 to year 6, like a kindy to year 6. So yeah, and then we go high school, right?
Yes. So
Yeah.
when after 4 years, I didn't want to do anymore. In 4th grade, I went to my principal. I said, we moved to Nouakchott. My father died. My father died when I was 11, and then about 11. And then we moved to the city, the big city. And then I was so happy because now I'm in the belly of the beast. I always hear about Nouakchott.
Nouakchott.
Yes. And I said, I want to go to high school right away. I went to the principal. I said, I want to, because you need to do a test, national, unified test. He said, get out. And then I kept coming to him. I didn't tell my family anything.
You were doing this behind their back. Wow.
They never asked me. It's not like nowadays, oh, let me help you with your homework.
I'm gonna spoon feed you. Yeah.
No one ever asked me about what I did in school. No one ever looked at my and ironically, I was always number 1. I never failed. Never once was I number 2. Never.
Subhanallah.
All the way, all
Natural
the way.
Talent.
Finished high school. No, I just was like my father planted this love of knowledge in me, and he taught me poetry, and he taught me. I wrote my poem when I was 11. My first poem. I mean.
Wow, subhanallah.
And I kept coming. Go ahead.
Because in when you were in like the Bedouin part of Mauritania, you did do studying, right? Like you did like homeschooling.
Yes, always. Because I don't know. Do you remember when you could read? Do you remember that? Do you remember when you started to be able to read?
No, I do not. But I know through my children. Yeah, through my children now, yes. I know like around what age? Around like 5-ish, my kids started reading.
Yeah, I remember my grandma is the one who started me. And she wrote me the letters and Alif Bata. But I was more looking at the other kids. I was very like distracted because I don't know why. And I think we need to explore this, psychologically, because I don't like what they write me. I always listen to the other kids, and after I don't know how many days, I know what they wrote the other kids. I memorize it right away. So, there is some like relaxation I have when it's not my duty. That because this is like kutab. Every child is different curriculum. So, and this is like the best system I ever knew in my pathway. I did the Mahdara system, that is the Islamic school where you learn Quran, Tajweed, Fiqh, Arabic, grammar, etc., etc. And then I learned the French school, and then I went to the German school for college. So I know all of the systems, and the best one, because there are no tests. This is so advanced. There are no tests, and every child is seen as individual.
Yes.
Yes, there is no like this military kind of every child, and then at the end military like kind of test. No. So I always saw the other kids, they have like surah, let's say Sabbih or Amma or Alif Lam Mim even. And then my grandma wrote them so much. And I said, how come I have only Alif Bata there, only like 4 letters? And they have so many letters. How can they memorize so many letters? Because I saw everything in the light of what I know.
Yeah. Subhanallah.
So I remember that, but I don't remember anything after that or before that. I just remember that one day when I made this remark and realized. So anyway, so that because I bugged the principal, he told me, go and then you make it. And I don't care whether you fail. Then I made the national test. And then they all were like announced on the radio. I never forget. Me and my sister sat, and then we listened to the radio, and then they mispronounced my name, Mohamedou Ould Slahi. And then the first time that I appreciated someone mispronouncing my name, and then move forward like 6 years later when I had my high school diploma, I was selected by German government to have a scholarship.
Subhanallah. Yeah. So then you moved to Germany, right? Because like I'm trying to like get the audience to get the timeline. Because if I'm gonna tell everybody to watch the movie about your story in Guantanamo Bay, but I feel that there is a before and after that you need like research for, and I want them to just capture the whole story. So then you moved to Germany, and you're just this Mauritanian kid that was in a desert that thought Nouakchott was like the belly of the beast, as you said, and you're in Germany now. You're in Frankfurt?
Yes, I never forget the first day.
Yeah.
Like Moroccan say, من الحمار للطيارة.
From the donkey to the airplane.
Yes. And so we arrived to Paris. So there was no direct flight.
Oh,
so we arrived in Paris. And I had problem like using the electrical staircase because I didn't know when to go. And I made a fool of myself. And then I ended up jumping on it. And then so I was very young and I was so scared mostly scared because I didn't know, how can I keep my like tradition, my prayer in this very different culture and very dominant culture.
Yes.
So, and I wanted to pray in front of everybody I had sajjad, everything. And I went to this French guy. I asked him, what is Qibla? This random guy. He was very smart. He's an older man. He looked at me and said, it doesn't matter. أينما تولوا فثم وجه الله. Wherever you direct yourself, it's
you got a good answer to that. Just imagining going randomly to like the street of Sydney saying, do you know where the Qibla is?
I know. And he was like a kind of a smart ass, I would say. And then he ended up showing me the Qibla. But he just kind of telling me to cool down. And I really need some cool down. And then I embarrassed my Muslim friends because they did not want to pray in front of everyone.
Oh.
And but I did it anyway. And then we took our plane it's like in between Mauritania and France, it's like, I don't know, it's like between your village and Melbourne, it's like big difference. And from France to Germany, it's like from Mauritania to Paris. It's like really much more advanced.
Subhanallah.
So I arrived in Germany. And I didn't speak any German, The only word that I heard in the embassy they gave me is one word, Fachhochschule. And if you try to say Fachhochschule.
I cannot say it.
I know.
Like,
1 second.
You have a hard language.
Yeah.
These Germans like they're...
You can see this?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I'm not gonna be able to read that.
So I remember that.
You see that word? It's like huge. Yes.
This means university. Fachhochschule, Fachhochschule.
Fachhochschule.
Just like Fachhochschule. And
Yes.
this just means technical university. And that's the
Wow.
only word I know.
Mm.
So, but I was very curious. I used a little bit of like,
Body language?
body language and little English. So I didn't know English, but
But you knew
I
French,
know,
right? Because your school was French, wasn't it?
correct. I know French and Arabic, but no one spoke French at Frankfurt airport.
Mm-hmm.
And and they gave me a room in the hotel, Sheraton. That was the first time ever I sat alone on my own. Can you believe 17 or almost 18? And I never sat alone. I never sat in my own room. And ironically, like in Mauritania, you can find privacy in the middle of your family. I don't know how to explain it, but I think it's like hiding in plain sight.
Subhanallah. So like you're always surrounded by people, even if you're like having your khulwa, but you're just happy around it.
Always. And people always knows what's best for you, how much sugar you need, what's the best food for you. You can never choose anything. People always knows about you much more than you know about yourself. And
They know you better than you know yourself. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. And I sat there and I felt scared because I was alone in the room. So I did what any decent human being do. I turned on the TV. First time, I never had a TV at home because my brother thought it would interfere with our studies. And later on, he gave up.
Gave up.
Yeah, in my time, we had no TV. So we had only books. And if we want to read book, if you don't want, there is no TV. So, and then, we had a lot of books. And then, so I watched TV, I took a shower. I liked the soap and the towels and I stole them and put them in my bag.
They're technically yours. Are they theft? No, I don't think. I think they are for the guests to use.
And I didn't think a lot. I just liked them. And I was a child, lived in deprivation. I didn't have enough food. I took the towels of Sharat. And then in the morning, I was so tired and confused. In the morning, my friend Mohamedou came to me. He said, Mohammed, do you know we can eat for free? I said, really? I said, yes. And then I went outside. I didn't know there is elevator because last night I was so tired. I didn't even realize that we took elevator. Now I saw the elevator in its all majesty. Just to hit the button. This is. Then I came to this room full of white people, businessmen, and then all kinds of food. I mean, all kinds of fruits, all kinds of coffee, tea. And then I was like faced with the proverbial German, die Qual der Wahl, the torture of too many choices. And I didn't know what to eat because back home, I'm not like, we are really poor. So I drank only tea in the morning and bread. And when it was good day, we put like butter and even marmalade. But that was like a luxury. So I didn't know, I hate cheese because cheese tastes horrible for someone who doesn't know cheese because it's not sweet.
It's not,
and I don't know. So, and cheese and olive, horrible taste. And, yeah. And so I said, you know what? I got myself in this trouble when I entered. And I had unmatching like t-shirt and pants. And I looked really bad. A Bedouin.
And in the middle of Sheraton, I look bad.
Yes, I know. And everybody, it was like as if everybody was just looking at me. I said, I need to be like everyone and eat what everybody eats. So I decided for eggs and Lipton. Horrible, because I saw Lipton in the magazines. When I read like Arabic, Al-Watan Al-Arabi and Jamaluki back then. Those
Jamaluki as well. Okay.
Yeah, they have like Lipton.
Yes, Lipton
I know
ads.
Lipton. I know Lipton. I didn't know it tastes so bad, but I knew it was a tea.
Not an advertising for Lipton.
I know. And so I took it, and I took eggs, and I took bread. Sat there. I said, now I'm going to look just like everybody else, because that was my goal. My goal was to eat because I am hungry, but now my goal is just to be like
Blending, just blending. Yeah.
Yeah, just blending it. I broke the eggs. It was half cooked. And I found myself, like say in Mauritania, حاكم قرون بقرة في حاسي, holding a bull by its horn in a well. So I cannot keep it because it's so heavy, and I cannot let go because it's going to die. So I didn't know what to do with the eggs that I broke on my, plate, because I wasn't going to eat it. And then I retreated in shame back to my room. And from that point to this day, I don't like restaurant. I don't like the loudness. I don't like people watching me eat. And I never understand this Western culture and even Mauritanian culture now. Why should I leave the comfort of my house and go to a very loud restaurant just to eat in front of people and have them talk me deaf, with stories.
Oh my God. My husband would love that. He hates restaurants and I like restaurants. So like, I'm gonna not let him hear that part of the interview. He tells me the same thing. Can't we just order it to come to the house and eat at the comfort of our house?
Yeah. Because when you look at it, Jannah, when you just like dissect it, like in the house, I can wear what I want. In restaurant, I cannot wear what I want. And like your attire as a woman are much more comfortable, unless really you want to be a celebrity. That's not comfortable. But jeans and especially suits, I hate suit. Oh my God, I just can't breathe. It's not so unnatural to wear a suit.
Yes.
And so that's why. So you have to wear certain things and you have to look the way people want you to look. But when I eat with my friend, I just lie down, drink tea, watch something, and I don't care, just relaxing. Restaurants are not relaxing. They're very loud. That's
the place, and yes, true. It is very loud.
Yeah, very loud. And I go the other day we went to this restaurant here in Dubai. Dubai, it's very modern city.
Yes.
And it's like the planet Earth is in Dubai.
Yeah.
And so they went to this restaurant. Asian food. I don't like Asian food. I know it's not very popular to say that, but I'm only used to very, very very limited choice of food. And I only want to eat that. In London, I ate biryani. Only biryani, because they said, Mohamedou, there are other choices. I said, I like biryani and it tastes good. Why should I try something else?
Oh.
They were very upset with me because I always order the same thing. And because I don't want any new things. Those Lebanese people, Palestinian people, they have so much stuff. I don't want it. I just want biryani. And so Director Kevin called me recently. He said, Mohamedou, the sales of biryani went
down.
Violently down. Yes, since you left London.
You were like their most loyal customer of biryani.
Yes. Yeah, in food, I don't want to try anything new in food. I don't know why. So we went to this restaurant, very upscale restaurant, because they play music and they have these like clowns who entertain people. They come to you, they drag you, they dance with you, something like that, very upscale.
Yes.
And they have food. So, and I don't understand, like, this they give you first thing, second thing.
You mean like the antipasti, like the appetizer, then the like entrees, what's
the
it called?
courses.
Yeah, the courses.
The courses.
Okay, yeah.
Why I don't like the courses? I don't like them because I need you to give me everything and then I choose what I want. Because when you give me the first course, I think this is the best I'm gonna get. And then I eat it. But when you give something better, then I said, why did you just tell me you have it? So I swear to Allah, I don't know how many courses they made, but I couldn't eat anything, nothing. I mean, they put sugar in meat. Who put sugar?
Sweet and sour food, yes.
Yeah, and this was like, this is Asian. I said, do you have anything without sugar, for instance? And then they said, okay. I said, you know what? Everybody loves dessert. So I'm waiting for dessert. Dessert was like horribly sweet, and so I don't like restaurant. That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line.
Yes.
Yes.
Since this. And then I came to Germany. I started to learn the language, and then
you got married in Germany? You got married in Germany?
I got married in Mauritania, and I brought my wife, who is now a German Palestinian, my ex, with me to Germany. Palestinians are very smart. They know when they know how to how to use opportunities. I was a Bedouin, To this day, I have no passport except Mauritanian passport.
Subhanallah. All right. So now we moved from what's it called? So in Germany, how did you move to Canada? Because I know that you moved after Germany to Canada, right?
Indeed. So to make a very long story short, we needed that. So in Germany, I was very active in my community. So they elected me the imam, and I was very young, and that was heavy burden on me.
But you're a hafiz, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Yes.
So
Mashallah.
and then they elected me as the imam, which made me very put me on the spotlight. People come to me and ask for fatwa. I don't know fatwa. And also really did not help my self-esteem. Because when I was young, everything to me was a sin. Like going outside is a sin. Like seeing attractive woman is a sin. Everything was a sin to me. And this was a Western country, and they're very open people, open society. And I was too young to reconcile my belief with openness, and just saying, okay, this is what I need to deal with. And just like today, this is people with different kind of choices in life that not to be judged by me, and I have just, but I found myself in a very big conflict in my heart, which was due to my ignorance of my own religion and also ignorance of the other culture. And then it was really a very heavy burden, even khutbah and making khutbah. And then I go to demonstration for Palestinian cause, for Afghanistan was big then, and I decided to travel to Afghanistan. But
yes, this is where they had what they had against you. You traveled to Afghanistan to fight against the communists, right?
Yes. And I went there twice, and I I really was shocked, how horrific they treated each other, and how Puritan, these people who were helping the Mujahideen were like. It's complete Puritanism, and everybody who is not like with them is not a good Muslim. And I found myself out of my skin, but I couldn't say anything, because I was too young. But I disagree, especially when they started to kill each other. I said goodbye. This was only like at most 3 months.
Yeah.
And I came back, and since a lot of your viewers, or your listeners are Muslims,
yeah,
we really, as Muslim, we need to take a hard look in the mirror, because we are messing up so much things, look at people who kill themselves in this world, Muslims. Look at the conflicts that's going on, Muslims.
Yeah.
Look when like human rights violations happen in the Muslim world. This we cannot blame on anyone. We cannot blame the fact that vulnerable groups such as women and children are suffering in a lot of our places that are Muslims, and if we keep blaming this on America, Germany, Sweden, we are not going to advance,
Yeah.
What the Mujahideen, so-called Mujahideen, did in Afghanistan, to my estimation, as person who went there, it's much worse than what the communists did to the Afghani people. There was no mercy. They killed each other with no mercy, and they had only one goal in mind: to be in power.
In power.
And I just, I had this allergy, even from the Mujahideen, and so. And today I cannot listen to what they say. I know this is like a very bad reaction, but I really, really love my people, obviously, and I love humanity, the children of Allah, His khalq. And I just can't understand why we are so messed up. What's going on? Why aren't we at peace?
It's because we're like, I don't want to pinpoint anything, but I feel like we're straying away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah. I feel like we're straying from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the whole point. The more the further away. I feel like we lost our humanity along the way, I feel like. And we accept and you see, like, now that you actually speak about that, I feel as well, the educated people in in the Islamic society, they feel so overwhelmed and they hate what's happening that they either abandon the Islamic way. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they don't want anything to do with it, which doesn't help, because if we don't step up, like if the more educated, or the people who are like have seen more or are more cultured, are not speaking up, then it's going to be left to those people.
Jana. I agree with you on that point. So I would challenge the point, because we strayed away. Sweden are not a Muslim country.
Ah, yes.
Germany is not a Muslim country. Norway is not a Muslim country. We have to be honest. الرائد لا يكذب أهله. When I came back, people were shocked when I told them I have no problem with America. I have no problem with American people. American people are good people. They said, because they wanted to put me in this kind of mall that would say I hate America. This whole rhetoric that I don't like. I told them, الرائد لا يكذب أهله. الرائد means the scout. The scout does not lie to his people. I'm not going to lie to my people and tell them the West is bad. No, the West is just like they have good people, they have bad people, and their government are seeking the interest of their own people. They are not seeking your interest. You need to seek your own interest. We have to seek our own interest. But you know that I'm preaching to the choir because alhamdulillah you have double culture, and I cannot accept any more easy answer or like sweep it under the carpet. We need to sit back and think and find out why are we so. I cannot fathom, why those celebrated girls who abandoned Islam going on CBC Canada, BBC, because why? And I'm saying it out there. One of them said she's a lesbian, and one of them said she just want to travel. Who cares whether you are lesbian? Who cares? And I don't understand why we are driving our children away. Why? Do you think she would have better chance to find Allah when she goes away, with rancor and with anger? Or do you think it's better for her to find Allah and say, we accept you. We are not going to force you to anything like Rafiddin. We will love you the same way, And I just can't wrap my head around it that we're making a fool out of ourselves, In Guantanamo Bay, all of these cartoons, caricature about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we didn't hear about this stuff. We just later on the guard talk about this. And I was with another detainee, my neighbor, a little bit far. They discussed with us. I don't know, the guard brought it up. They said, what do you think about this caricature of Prophet Muhammad? I said, I don't care.
That's what I say. I say, I don't care. Like the Prophet ﷺ doesn't like, he doesn't lose from his rank because you speak about him.
Yeah, because I said, this is, if anything is laughable to me, it's, you can draw whatever you want. And then my Saudi brother was very angry with me. I was like, why are you angry with me? He said, why aren't you angry? I said, because when I was a child, my family taught me رأيت رجلا ظاهر الوضاءة متبلج الوجه حسن الخلق لم تعبه الذجلة ولم تزري به صالة وسيم قسيم في عينه دعج وفي شفارة. This is the description of Ma'bad. Look it up. Ma'bad, description of the Prophet. She was not a Muslim, She just saw him and she described very eloquently how he looked and how he behaved. I said, you think I would throw this away and take some like imaginary caricature? I'm not that vulnerable in my beliefs, and just, I'm not making like free advertisement for any magazine or newspaper. If they give me money, I'd think about it. But I'm not making like advertisement.
Well, yeah. So you moved to, yes. So I feel like I'm gonna make you sit here for like hours with me because there's a lot of things I want to discuss. But
I need to make some tea. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. I'm trying to like get like a timeline of how you reached Guantanamo and how, your story before and after so that people know who you are. So you moved to Canada, and then in Canada you just normal, or you kept being, the head of like the community, or you just kept to yourself? Were you still like the imam and everything there, or you lived a different life there?
First, Jana, I need to challenge me wherever you see fit. Because I'm not an absolutist. So I'm just thinking out loud.
I know.
What I'm going to say. I'm open. Yeah. So how did I get to Guantanamo Bay? The road to Guantanamo Bay.
Yes.
End 98 or early 99, I received a phone call from my cousin. Okay. Yeah. And he asked me to help him send money to his father who was sick in Mauritania. I was then in Germany. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So far, so good. This
Yes.
is very normal. There were two problems with this phone call. Numero uno, it was recorded and listened to by some USA agency, most likely NSA or CIA. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Numero dos,
Yes.
the phone belonged to Osama bin Laden because my cousin was a friend of Osama bin Laden.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, he was also accused of horrific crimes, but later on, American found he was not involved. He was never captured, he was not involved. They were friends, but he did not. It was very clear in the document that he told him, I'm not doing anything that agree with your violent acts.
Yes. Did the tea finish? I think I'm going to keep these as part of the episode. Is that all right? I'm liking this. I feel like I'm fully having a conversation. I feel like I'm going to go pop some tea on or a bit of coffee.
This format of this Lebanese, is Syrian singer. What's her name again?
What? Which one?
The one that make this majlis, and it's like they drink tea, they eat, and then they talk.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that kind of relax because people understand that that's how human being acts.
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting my tea and I don't care whether or not that's not good. I have only one life. I'm too old to fit in.
How old are you, by the way, now, Mohamedou? I didn't search that.
Almost 50 años. Almost 50.
Ooh. Does it feel, look, I hit my 30s and they told me 30s are like really, really like, the peak. I'm 33 now. Apparently it's the age of Jannah. I don't know if that's a true fact.
That's just one way to make you feel good.
Yes.
But things are not getting any better. I can't tell you
No,
that
my
much.
knees don't say that it's a good. So I agree. I'm like, who said like 30s? You're 30s. I'm like, I feel it in every bone. Like now I feel like I went cycling. We had a mini holiday because we had lockdown, and I hit my leg just like tiny, like with the pedals, and like there's a big bruise, and I'm like, what happened to me? Like we're not in our 20s anymore. I feel like it's just goes downhill from there. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. But the good thing, always, the what you call it, the topping. I forgot the term. Something, the topping or something. The topping is that we gain automatic privileges when you get old in this culture, which is good. I couldn't have been a good or a bad person because I spent my younger years in prison. So, but I automatically have that privilege. Oh, the old guy always, which is good.
Which is a good thing. Oof, subhanallah. So yeah, like that phone call was, had two problems, as you said. And then you moved to Canada. Was it in Canada you returned back to Mauritania? Because I feel like the timeline in the movie is a bit... I'm still reading your book, so I'm not finished with it like completely. But the movie, I've watched it. I made Muhammad watch it so that he's listening with us and he understands the story, so that he's not in the dark. So yeah, you moved to Canada, and Canada was fine, cruising, nothing's wrong. And then you went back to Mauritania?
So when this phone call happened,
yes,
the American contacted Germany. They said you have a terrorist amongst yours.
Ooh.
And so they started one of the most thorough investigation. I was not aware, but they came to the conclusion this guy is clean. Americans said he's too smart. But what happened that everywhere I went to Germany, everything was weird. Like they came to the imam, asking about me. I didn't feel very welcome anymore. and I decided to go to Canada. I said, Canada is a good country, very liberal. I could like make my doctorate in because I studied telecommunications, microelectronics. Just a fancy way to say that you can program and you can like deal with computers and new technologies.
So that's as well. Isn't that a question mark as well on your file as going to
Yes,
be a,
to Americans, everything is a question mark.
Yes.
I remember one time this FBI guy said, I said, why you keep asking me the same question? What did you study? Why you come back? He said, I just want to make sure you are not lying. I told him, look, I am old enough to remember my lies. I assure you, if I lie to you, I will tell you the same lie. So there is no need to ask me again the same question. I was just being like stupid and being just stupid, because after they tortured me, I didn't have this kind of, I just answered their question, and if they didn't like them, I lied to them to tell them what they think I had done.
What they want. Yeah.
I decided to move to Canada, and then, so when I came to Canada, I stayed with my friend Mohsen, who studied in the same university as me in Duisburg, and he studied the same thing, different like small like, but we both like studied electrical engineering. So it was kind of normal, and he was before 5 years my 5 years my senior. And then he's the one who encouraged me to come to Canada, because he said it's good, they speak French, no need to learn any new language. And I was accepted. And I went there to go away from this like suspicion. I was very stupid, just like my friends in Tunisian friend, when he came to Germany, they sent him like a fine because of speeding. He was captured by the camera. He said he's not paying, he just moved out of the city. Then they kept piling up on him, like, when you don't pay in Germany, they keep just piling up, I don't know how many years he gets so much money. He said, how did they know I was in this city?
Well, they know.
I know. Especially in Germany, because in Germany, I don't know in Australia, but in Germany, you have to declare where you live.
Yes, even in Australia, you have to change your address accordingly. Yeah.
Yes, in America, I don't think they have it, because FBI takes care of that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm a free man now. I could work. I could help my family. I could study, everything. So there was a mosque, Masjid al-Sunnah, and where my friend used to pray. And they told him that their imam is traveling, I think in United Arab Emirates or something.
Yeah.
And then he said, no problem. I know a guy who could do the Tarawih. It was in Ramadan. And then they said, okay. And then I prayed Tarawih. And then now this was like bad, because and the community was under a lot of fear. And so, because one guy, an Algerian, of Algerian origin, tried to cross the Canadian border with explosive, this Ahmed Rassam's case.
Yeah, I remember that. I was really young, but I remember vaguely when like from reading after 9/11, before what happened, all the commotion prior to 9/11. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then Americans said, we know who did this. Mohamedou did this, because we know Mohamedou is so and so a terrorist anyway.
Wow. They're pinning all these things on you, and you don't even know it.
Mind you, I don't know the guy. I never met him. I never saw him. He was actually from Vancouver, and I was in Montreal.
Yeah.
And he had been in Montreal at one point, I understand, but we never were at the same time at any place in this world, you know.
Mm.
And but Americans were so upset that years later on, they the FBI guy he told a newspaper recently that he went purchased a ticket to Guantanamo Bay and tell them, guys, Mohamedou has nothing to do with Millennium Plan because Ahmed Rassam is working with the FBI, you know.
Wow.
And
okay.
Yes.
And he never mentioned your name or anything, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And he told them, because he said he was so upset with them because they kept writing him, you know, because under the torture, I told them I was involved and I wanted to blow up CN Tower. I don't even know what CN Tower is. They helped me to write the confession and sign it. But anyway, so Canadian couldn't find anything, but Canadian and American and Mauritanian agreed to lure me to a place where there is no law, where they don't need arrest warrant, they don't need anything. And you can only do this in a Muslim or Arab countries. You cannot do this, you know, So they said, so the intelligence came to my mother. They told her to call me back because I'm in a lot of trouble and they need to help me, you know, clear my name. And my mother called me, said that she's sick, and I just packed and want to go back to Mauritania. My Canadian friends said, Mohammed, you cannot go because America wants you and they would hurt you if I said, I don't care. Again, stupidity comes into play. You know, I felt like, you know,
I haven't done anything, so why should I?
I know. Yeah. Yes, that's me.
Plus, I think, like, even now, when you like watch the movie or you hear like Abu Ghraib or all these things, I still like, I cannot believe it. It's like,
why?
Because it just feels like, can humanity steep that down low? Like, I just cannot. Yeah, I feel like, really, like, do humans do that to one another? I just cannot fathom. Maybe I don't see it because it's not in me. I don't know, but I just till now, I'm like, the extravagance of it, of like the torture. No, I do believe that it happened to you, but I'm like, I cannot believe like it. The extremity of it is just too much. So I understand how you didn't understand what's gonna happen to you.
إن الإنسان لفي خسر والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر. Human beings can do bad things, and they had done bad things. Human beings have burned human beings alive. Human beings have buried people alive.
Yes. Yeah. But you think human rights and all that, and like, you know, we've evolved as humanity, you know, we talk about human rights, we uphold them apparently, in quotations. So I just feel like, yeah, it's just something
absolutely. It's much better, but it's only going to get better if we expose the atrocities and we hold the governments in check. Because the problem with governments, any government, that they have so much power over us. Like in your country is a democracy. So, but the government has all the tools of oppression, and you don't keep them in check. You have. What you have as a citizen is the power of the law. And if the power of the law is not upheld, you screwed. You absolutely screwed. You have no chance against the government, you know, because they have everything, and they have like, they could put you in prison, they could, you know, kill you, they could do anything. And if you don't have the law, if the law is not strong enough, you are, you know, and that's exactly the problem, you know, after 9/11, because America had this fascist tendency. They said anybody who is not American have no right. You know, we didn't have any right, by the way, including Australian citizens. And I would say, let's say America said no one has human rights except America. Good for them. Why do countries like my country and your country applaud the US for what they did to their own citizens. I would understand if Australia would have said, I support you, America, but you have also to include my citizens as citizens who have the right, same as your citizens.
Australia is
But
not good like that. It's always
no,
not. They're very,
yeah,
very
this
bad
is
in
not
that.
logical. Not logical.
Yes, they just like, I don't know if you've heard about like the French submarine thing that happened. Like, just America just said, let go of that contract. They didn't tell France anything. France is so upset from us, but Australia just follows suit to what America says. And Biden didn't even remember our prime minister's name. He said, our pal from down under. He doesn't even know his name. I'm like, why are you following this country that doesn't even know your name? Yes, it's very, very funny. Yes.
Very embarrassing. You know,
Yes.
and you know, I you know, the word thing, this is not good for America.
Yeah.
You know, the Chilcot report, I don't know whether your viewers, your listeners are aware of the Chilcot report. It's a report that was produced in the UK into the war in Iraq. Inquiry to the war in Iraq. It's called Chilcot report.
Mhm.
They concluded that what the UK did was really bad
Yeah.
because they followed the US to hell, you know?
Mhm.
And they said, it seems like whenever the USA says jump, and I quote, we always ask how high, you know? And they conclude this is not good for UK, obviously, but it's not good also for the US. Because your true friend should tell you when you are wrong, you know? And
And
I
hold
do
you
understand,
accountable.
I do understand that, you know, that America offers a cushion for its allies. I do understand that because America is very powerful. It's always cool and good to have America on your side. America can threaten countries. America can twist arms, you know, to make like political deals and to make like diplomats and governments do what they want to do. So it's good for Australia, for instance, to be on the side of America. And I would also be on the side of America if I was the Australian Prime Minister.
Yeah.
But I would hope, I would always look first and foremost for the interests of my country and not the interests of any other country, no matter what it is. Even if I was of a Lebanese descent or a Mauritanian descent, since I swore the oath, you know, to uphold the Constitution of Australia, I would always put Australia first, always, you know.
Mhm.
And this is what I don't understand really, you know. But this is corruption too, because just think about it. If I was the Prime Minister of Australia, okay,
Mhm.
I'm Prime Minister for 4 or 5 years, but I want to go back to the US and have my dealing, my business, and everything. So I would do everything if I'm corrupt. Whatever the US wants, I do for them, because at the end, I will go, they will give me business, you know, I will be a good guy, you know,
Yeah.
one of us, instead of by being on the fringe and like,
Yeah.
he doesn't like our country, you know. Anyway,
Yeah.
so, and then I was kidnapped. So I came back to Mauritania, I was kidnapped. They took away my passport. They found nothing, but they took away my passport. They put me on house arrest. And
Uh-huh.
I tried to find a job as a programmer, administrator, and admin, they call it. And until 9/11 happened, the tragic events of 9/11, where so many people, innocent people, perished, including Muslims, including other religions, you know.
Yeah.
And I was kidnapped by a special team that was comprised of CIA and special Jordanian special forces.
Uh-huh.
The help of my country, they kidnapped me, took me to Jordan for 8 months. After Jordan, they took me to Afghanistan. After Afghanistan, they took me into Guantanamo Bay, where I was tortured, sexually assaulted, beaten. They broke my, they pour water on my face in the ocean, and not ocean, in the Caribbean, and making me think I'm dying. I saw death more than once. I was tortured by Americans, by Arabs from different countries, judging from their accent. And I wrote a false confession when they told me they would arrest my mother and rape her. I didn't have anything to lose. I never forget the last time I saw my mother, when the police came to our house. It was like 4th Ramadan, 2001. And it was like 4 p.m. And I came just from my work. I just had come from my work. And then they came to me, plain clothes, said, "We need you." This is not like Australia, where they come to said, "Well, arrest warrant. Or no, they just come and take you because the USA called them, said kidnapping.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother was very scared. I could see in her face. And she told me, "I know where they came from." I said, "Why?" I said, "Because you watch TV. I told you to be careful." And that's the biggest crime that my mother could come up with. And
that you watch TV.
Yeah. I never like appreciated the pain and suffering my mother went through, because I didn't have child. It will take me many years when I have Ahmed to understand how painful that is, to have your child taken away from you with no reason. No one presented you with any
And
reason.
she didn't know where you are in the first how many years till she knew that you were.
Kept bringing like food and clothes to a person who didn't exist, you know. And I remember seeing her in the rear view mirror of my car, because they told me to come with my car, and she held the tasbih, prayer bead, you know. And that's the last time. And I remember when they came to me, told me that she passed away, I was in prison. I was in so much pain, you know, and, you know, like pain in the heart, like it's burning. And I needed to punish my body in order to equalize the inner pain with the outside pain. And then I stood up and I started to recite the Quran. And I think halfway I was so kaput. Then I collapsed. Then I don't know how many hours I slept. And then I stood up again, and then kept pacing and memorizing until I came to Min al-Jinnati wan Nas. And then like, you know, it destroyed my life. And few weeks later, they came to me. No, astaghfirullah, not few weeks. A year later, I think. Came to me, they said, my brother died too. And I never forget, like, I couldn't hear anything. I just could see the lips moving. Yeah. And they were like in these eerily very good clothes, very well, you know, Americans are very good when they, you know, with clothes.
Yeah.
And they had an imam with them, Christian imam, because Muslim chaplain were not allowed anymore. One second. Assalamu alaikum, Asma.
This podcast is brought to you by Penny Appeal Australia.
Give a gift of endless sadaqah by building a water well today.
Sorry. And I remember, you know, like, I don't know whether, you know, like my friend, Captain Ye, he was our chaplain, but no, they took him and they took another American Syrian. They slapped him with treason because they were talking to detainees. And then after that, no chaplain, as far as I'm concerned. They brought me this Christian chaplain. And the reason why they chose him, because he spoke Arabic. He was from think Southern Sudan, judging from his dialect. And then they spoke to me, they gave me the notes, and then he started to quote from the Bible. I listened to everything they said. And same thing, same pain. They said, you need anything? I said, no. They left. I was the first detainee to be selected for death penalty, capital punishment. And I cannot describe to the viewers, the listeners, like how it feels if someone comes to say, we are going to kill you. And knowing that you hadn't done anything. You know, I can try to tell you, my feeling was like no feeling. Because they start to negotiate with the First Sergeant Charlie, start to negotiate with me. He said, if you rat other people out, we can give you 30 years. You know, and then, you know, this like a very, very harsh American punishment, you know, like, and then I was just listening. I was just like, I had no answer. I had nothing, no comment. I was just happy that they were happy with me. I don't care whether they killed me. I don't know what they did to me. You know, I just resigned to my lot when I signed the confession. And signing the confession was the end, the start of the end of their investigation, because now they have everything they needed to
They
kill
need
me.
to kill you.
Yes,
Yeah.
but everybody was forced to come back and say, he didn't do this. We know he didn't do it. Because CIA wouldn't give FBI wouldn't give CIA, and so, and this,
Yeah.
you know.
So
It's just one point before I, to close this one. Astaghfirullah. No, I lost the train. So 1 second. So yeah, they decided, you know, because there was a big fight between Richard Dooley, the team leader of my torture, and the other agencies, because the agencies apparently told him, Mohamedou didn't do this. We know that. And he was losing his success of breaking me. And they decided to put me on lie detector. And then in the lie detector, I passed not once, twice. And we know from record of my former prosecutor, where I had two prosecutors. One is Colonel Couch resigned because he said I was tortured. And the second one was Mo Davis, Colonel, Air Force Colonel Mo Davis. The first one was a Marine, second one was Air Force. And he's my friend to this day. He concluded in 2005, there was no evidence Mohamedou did any wrong, you know, of any wrongdoing.
Subhanallah.
By Mohamedou. And yet they kept me in pain and suffering for 11 more years. You know, that cannot be described as a due process and as respecting of human rights. And this need to stop. People from this region, they need to be treated with dignity, with the rule of law, by their government first and foremost, and by the rest of the world.
100%. So I now that you just mentioned the torture, and like there is a special like regimen that they made in Guantanamo, like a special where they keep the lights very bright, temperatures very low, and like they have like different techniques to actually not make you to sleep deprivation, like very like psychological torture. Did you feel like when you were there, like did you feel like it broke you? Like, I'm just thinking about normal tribulations that human beings go through, and I'm interested in psychology. Usually when you're like face these kind of things, like don't you just break? How did you survive all this time with this amount of torture? And you didn't break till they actually threatened with your mother.
So that's a very good question. And the short answer, I don't know. I do believe these things, so that all survivors have some special qualities to them. You didn't get to interview Dali War. Dali War was beaten to death in the same prison I was in Bagram. Worse, it was a case of mistaken identity. You look him up, Dali War. If you cannot find him, I text you Wikipedia page of his. He was just telling them, I can't take it anymore, and they wouldn't believe him. And he died the next day. Rahman Gul died in the cold room. And the cold room I describe in my book. Not the same room, because I don't know what room he died in. But I'm sure it's not my room. And I remember, I understand this absolutely, because I remember one day they put me in the cold room, and there was this Marine. He kept telling me, because I refused to talk to them, because first I said, I tell you everything about myself and leave me in peace. I told them, they said, BS, we need to tell you. I said, you know what? I'm not talking to you. You give me, you charge me with a crime, bring a lawyer, I talk. Before that, I'm not talking to you. And I was like a stone, no talking. So they want to break me. And then they took me to this cold room. And they stood me there. And they kept like pouring water on me, cold water.
Ya Allah.
They said they would do that until I talk. But Jana, they did not know that I couldn't talk, because
You're freezing.
I was freezing. I could not say anything. I was like a stone. And even if I wanted to make them stop, I couldn't make them stop. And then came to my rescue was this staff sergeant. They called her Mary. I don't think that's her name. And I don't know why, but she told them, stop. You know, she was the one crying in the movie. She did actually cry when they started beating me. That was true. That happened the way it was shown in the movie.
Ya Allah.
So the point being, I was confused. I didn't know what to do, because what do they want? If I tell them a lie, would they accept it? What kind of lie should I tell them? Yeah. I was completely confused and taken by surprise. I didn't know that they would really torture me. And 70 days, I didn't know what to do. And they were just piling up on sexual assault. One of the things that really bothered me, I never forget this one. They told me one time, you know, we will bring you this woman. And she sat with me. She told me, Jana, today I teach you the way that you don't know in Yemen. I was like, what?
I'm not from Yemen.
Yeah. What is she talking about? All the pain I was going through, I didn't have food. I didn't sleep 70 days, no sleep.
No.
But the thing that hurt me the most was none of that. Just that she didn't even know who I was. She didn't even know who I am, you know. Yet she can't visiting pain upon me. And I know Lebanese people like yourself, very proud. They don't want to be mistaken with anyone. But guess what? Unfortunately, we all look alike to them. We are the same. I know I'm laughing, but this is the truth, you know. Even many Americans, it gets even worse. They think that the UK is a Muslim country. You know, they say.
Astaghfirullah. Yeah.
I know. So she told me, and so I was like, dude, at least you know who I am. Please just know who I am, and then you can do what you want to do. And this shows you how How
To them, you were
disrespect.
just a number, and they're just torturing you. You're not a
Now
human
the
anymore. You're like
Mauritania
an
and Yemen the
entity.
same. Mauritania, Yemen, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia,
Doesn't matter.
same.
They're all the
Doesn't
same.
same.
So would you talk to other inmates? Do you hear them getting tortured? How do you speak to each other? How do you communicate?
In Jordan, they took me to the torture session.
Yeah.
That was like one of the worst experience in my life. Hearing people in pain, and it's so bad that I felt better when I was tortured than hearing other people being tortured. Because again, I told you, because the pain in your heart need to be the same as the pain on your body. If one is different, they need to be a balance. Equal. Yeah. Like, subhanallah, we all go through pain. We all lost our loved ones. And pain can only be felt, not described, But anyway, so I was taken away from the population. I was in isolation 90% of the time.
Because you were like the inmate, right? Like that they're trying to pin it on you, basically. You're the mastermind.
Yes, I'm the mastermind. And when they found out early on, I'm not, they couldn't anymore let me because I knew too much.
Now you're like in this web of like, how do we get him out? How do we hide our lies? It's just a web of lies, basically.
Absolutely.
Yep. So you couldn't speak to any other inmates, could you? Or you would, if you're away from the population?
No, I couldn't. And it hurt me a lot. I really almost cried to them to take me back to my brothers, but they refused. And I got used to be alone, and I didn't want to be with anyone anymore because it didn't serve me in any case, shape or form. And it hurt me to see other people suffering. I couldn't help them, and I'd rather not know anything. And the other thing, most important thing, that I could develop myself without any influence of anyone. Because in prison, there is this tendency to have this subculture of us against them, detainees against the guards, and so on and so forth. And I didn't want that kind of culture. And I'm sure with peer pressure, I would have succumbed to this kind of, or overly being religious, overly being like conservative. Conservatism is not in my nature. I'm a very open-minded person. I know who I am, and I know more who I am in prison. And I don't want to be extremist in any shape or form, even though I know extremism is not against the law. Maybe in your country, extremism is confused with terrorism, but I just mean like conservatism, like ultra-orthodoxy. It's not against the law, but I'm not ultra-orthodox. It's not the clothes I want to wear. And with peer pressure, that, in population, that would have, caused me a lot of pain and a lot of imbalance between who I am and the person I present.
Trying to portray. So you're alone. What would you do in the times that you're not getting tortured in the cell?
Look, the torture stopped in 2004, and in the thick of it, I didn't know. I was allowed to pray. I just prayed in my heart because they would attack me if they see me pray. They force-fed me in Ramadan, so I don't do Ramadan. It was like no religion, and I do nothing. I just I remember counting the holes in the cell. I think there were 4,080 something, and I had only a pillow. I would read the label, 80% polyester, 20% something else. or watching like when ants come through, I would see what they do.
And you wouldn't feel like you lost your mind? Because like I would just think that I would lose my mind. You're very lucid, and like I feel like there's no anger when I'm talking to you. Like you just mentioned these stories, and you've just like overcome them, and you're past it. I feel
You know
like I'm
why?
just yes.
You know
Why?
why? July 21st in Jordan, they came to me in prison. They said, "You're going home." I was crying because I didn't know what home meant. They took me, they gave me back my stuff. They told me to sign. I thought 31st of July, but I saw 21st. But I lost 10 days. I don't know how because I kept counting. Sometimes I didn't know days or nights. And they took me, blindfolded me, of course, everything, took me to the airport. And then I felt people cutting through my clothes and destroying them. And I knew I'm not going home. They stripped me naked, put me in diaper. And then they lift this for a short moment to see my eyes. And I saw the arm of the guy is blonde. And I realized I'm not going home. I'm going to die in an American prison. I'm a Muslim, bad, Arab, bad, African, bad, no chance in American justice. They will kill me or I will die in prison.
Ya Allah.
I started to regret things in my life. I tell you what I didn't regret. I didn't regret not having those hot women I always dreamed about. I did not regret not having a good house. I didn't regret not having like money or Swiss banking account. I regretted only one thing: not being kind enough to the people I'm around, like my mother, my sisters, my brothers, my partner. I just wished I could be kinder. And I took it upon myself. If Allah gave me my life back, I will be a kind person. That's why I have a vow of kindness. I hope I will never break. It's very hard, but it's easier than making money or making house or marrying Angelina Jolie or whatever. Who is the next one? So, and that's why it's easy for me, to get past these. And but everybody could use anything. But I just telling you, this was like defining moment in my life that I know exactly what matters in my life.
So when you started writing your manuscript, how did that happen? And at what time, like at what period in Guantanamo did you start writing your story?
After 1 year, I started writing. I wasn't allowed to have pen or papers, but some other detainees had. And then they would smuggle them to me, or I would steal. Again, stealing. And then I write, and then I hide the papers. But I didn't know how to write in English. So, and having Australian beside me was not the biggest of helps. So, and I start when I hear something, I write. It wasn't like a diary, but I wrote in French, Arabic, German, and then English, random stuff.
Yeah.
When I was taken to the program, May 2003, I was taken to the torture program. They took everything away from me. And then I stopped until mid-2005. 2 years later, a little bit over 2 years later, I had lawyers coming to me, and I saw my window, and I started to write them in the guise of letters. And it took me 3 months. I kept writing, less than 3 months. Then I sent them everything.
Wow. SubhanAllah. And how is your relationship with the lawyer and her associate? Her name is
Nancy Hollander.
Hollander and Terry Duncan, is it?
That is correct. Terry
Yeah.
Duncan, Linda Moreno, Sylvia Royce, and all the colleagues. So those people are my family, you know. I told Nancy, every time she comes to me, I make da'wah that she is Muslim. I tell her, I want you to go to Jannah. She said, Muhammad, you are in deep shit and your stuff is bad. I told her, Nancy, I'd rather stay the rest of my life in prison and you being a Muslim than vice versa. Because I want to save you, you know, and then we just keep like teasing each other and so. And she told me a very funny story. She told me she grew up like in a secular family from New York. And then they moved to Texas for some reason. Their mother was so worried. She started to find out like a church where they would go every Sunday, because in Texas, if you don't go to church,
there's a problem.
There is a problem. And then their mother started to find the church that the least damage. And then I told her, you are a hypocrite, you know, like, and then she told me, yeah, of course. And then she went, sometimes she just like to go to Catholic mass, you know, because they have good food, good music, and so just enjoying. Yes. So we tease each other and we are very open to each other, just like family, you know.
SubhanAllah.
Family is
these people, yeah, like it just like brings like the idea that humanity is not gone. Every time I feel like, oh my God, there's so much bad that could happen like in the world. You'd see like humanity perseveres, and yeah, SubhanAllah, when I watched the movie, I'm like, this just and in their country they weren't applauded for what they were doing. They were defending a terrorist. Everybody wants to pin it on you.
Absolutely. But I always have to defend, like just think about what would happen in our countries, in an Arab country, if someone is defending like an American person who is like, let's say, accused of horrific crimes, because the accused is innocent until proven guilty. This is only your grandma head, you know. Even your lawyers don't believe it, you know.
100%.
Yeah. So we have always, and in general, the more people are educated, the more open-minded they are, and obviously they are much more educated in general than the people of this region. So we have always to, you know, to try
balance.
Absolutely. And I'm telling you this because I really love you guys. The xenophobia in our region is really ugly and horrific. I mean, you are from Lebanon and you know exactly, you know, like what happens to people who are not from that country, especially Arabs who are not from that country.
Yep. And what comes around goes around, I guess, and the karma keeps coming back.
Absolutely. Full recycling.
Yes, and there's that لا يغير الله ما في قوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. Is that?
إن الله لا يغير ما حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم.
Yes. So basically, if we don't change.
سورة النحل. Yes, correct.
Yeah. If we don't change ourselves internally, then like Allah's not going to change our situation. So I feel like and كما تولوا يولى عليكم as well. So as well, how you, isn't it? How you deal with people, Allah will bring you rulers to deal with you the same way. So subhanallah, that is definitely
absolutely. You know, like in other ayah, because كما تكونوا يولى عليكم. Some people say hadith, some people say it's not strong hadith, but I tell you something that is very strong.
Yeah.
وكذلك نولي بعض الظالمين بعضا بما كانوا يكسبون. You know, Allah will make the wrongdoers be leaders, the wrongdoers, because what they do. And I'm telling you, this is Sunnat Allah. This is the way the nature works. When we say Sunnat Allah, some people say the laws of nature. There is no argument about this. It's just, you know, because the laws of nature, we see them as Sunnat Allah, the laws of Allah. You know?
Yeah.
And those people, if you set yourself against the laws of nature, you will lose. Gravity always wins.
Always wins.
Yeah.
The one thing that as well the movie doesn't highlight, I didn't find out about it till I watched documentary. The Guardian did like a mini documentary about you and your guard, Steve Wood, who I really wanted him to come on this episode, but subhanallah, the time difference and everything. I did, and he said he really wants to do it, but then you know how like it happened so fast that you came on the show, like you decided to just do the interview fast, and yes, subhanallah, but he really wanted, and I had a conversation with him already, and he really admires you, and subhanallah, I felt like it's really important to highlight this, that how did Steve like become Muslim? Like did he become Muslim while he's still your guard, or was it later on that you continued being friends?
You know, I remember the first day he came to me. So I was like very like reclusive and afraid of people. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I was only with guards. Only guards could talk to me, no one else. And then he came to me and said, "Hey, what's up?" The first day, like, he has this deep voice, you know, and then I said, "Hi." And then he said, "You drink coffee?" I said, "Yes, I'm not a big coffee drinker, but I didn't want to alienate him. He's my God. He has the power of him." And then he told me, get up, come out. And then I came out, sat with him, and he said, "Do you play Rami?" I said, "No, but if you teach me, I know." And then he taught me Rami, and then we start playing Rami, start playing chess. And then he would like bring me food under the table and bring books. And then I read them when he's done with them. Then he bring like Adam Sandler comedies, we watch them. We became secret friends. We know that we're secret friends because we start gossiping about people when they're not around.
Once there's gossiping, you're definitely friends.
I know, especially Arabs if there was like a gold medal in gossiping, Arabs will.
Astaghfirullah al-Azim, yes.
And so I understand he accepted like our deen then, but he couldn't show that because that would have landed him in a very bad place, you know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and that's very sad in a democratic country. With the same token, that is very sad in our region that we don't accept if people like have other beliefs, you know, in general.
Yeah.
Especially if they are among us, because we think if your name is Jannah, Abdul Aziz, you have always to think the same way I think.
Yes.
Because we own you. Just because you're brown and your name is Ahmed does not mean I own you. You have your own life. You have your own, you know. And I still owe you love and care and kindness.
Yes.
إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء.
Yes. Subhanallah. So yeah, like so he in the later on you actually met and he came to you in Mauritania, and do you guys still meet up?
Yeah, we're friends. He came to me 3 times, and he always want to sleep in my house. We eat pizza, we talk, you know. We have very, very, I almost said open relationship.
No.
Which makes sense.
Makes sense if you actually want to take it literally.
Yes.
Yes.
We are very open to each other. Like we have no like secrets, and so And we
SubhanAllah.
just want to do something together, like to be a bridge, to bring peace. And this is our way of da'wah,
Yeah.
to bring peace and to talk like to all Muslims and tell young people that they have rights. They should insist on their rights, not be angry and go underground and join some crazy, demented people who want to visit harm upon their community and people of their community. No,
SubhanAllah.
I think the young people from Australia, they have rights. Young people from Mauritania, we have rights. Tell them you don't
Yes.
have to take anything of anyone. You can practice your belief as you wish. You just one rule, just please don't harm, don't commit any violence. And you have every right. It's guaranteed by Human Rights Declaration that you can believe whatever you want, you can say whatever you want, as long as you are not harming anyone.
Yes. So where now, Mohamedou? Like, what are you aiming to achieve? Just this message, or do you have plans? New books coming up? What's the plans?
Have you seen Ahmed and Zarga came out in February, and we hope to adapt it into a movie. There is also already a proposal. It's about Bedouin life, based on the life, is a fiction, but based on the life of my father. And I have Freedom, which is a play that I wrote. And
I saw
it's
that
now-
you advertised it. Yes, Freedom.
Yes, and I really want to play it in this very big, like, opera house in your country. You know, we just want
Opera
to go to
house.
those- You know, this is very new to me, to be honest, Jannah, because this is like exploring a new territory where Muslims never went there. But I really believe ادخلوا عليهم الباب فإذا دخلتموه فإنكم غالبون وعلى الله فتوكلوا إن كنتم مؤمنين. I think we should knock at the door and say, we're here. And I don't know how theater piece works, but I just wrote the thing. And then it's like dance performance and narration, kind of. And I just want to contribute and to spread the word, kind of.
I just wanted, like, basically from your episode, I felt like when I watched the movie, I love that you're unapologetic about your Islam, and you're like, what do you mean? Like, you know, like how even now when you were like in the it's telling me your story, yeah, I just put my prayer mat out and I prayed, and I knock on the door. I want to tell them my story. I love that idea of like being unapologetic about your faith, and I feel like as Muslims in the West, instead of doing it, like you said, the right way, where we actually go and portray or do work or, speak up about our rights, we tend to like go in the background, go in our community, stay in our comfort zones, and then feel like we're left behind. So I just really, really like that. That resonated with me, subhanAllah. So I feel like it proves that Islam, no matter where you put it and whatever century you put it, it is the right way. We have like a manuscript of how to deal with life throughout the Prophet ﷺ's life. So I feel that's what your story means to me.
Absolutely. And you know, like one of the communities I love the most are the UK Muslim community. You know, the UK Muslim community is unapologetic, and they are proud to be British. You know, and when I discuss with with some of the younger Muslim, like your generation or younger than your generation, you know, the younger, the 20s and the early 30s, they always say the German don't like us. I said, what are you talking about? You're a German. You don't know anywhere else. You were born there. You were raised there. They said, they said they don't accept. I said, don't accept them. You are a German just like them. And I was so inspired by the you know, and I think, I don't want to be racist, but like Indian people and Pakistani are much smarter than us Arabs, honestly. You know?
Yes. They are.
You know, like the dream of a Middle Eastern guy is to have the biggest baqala, you know, in his place, you know.
Not anymore. I hope not anymore.
You know. And I know I have this obsession in Germany. I go every weekend to the flea market, buy useless stuff. I buy it because it's cheap, but I don't use it. And I go next week, same thing, because I just don't know, because I get stuck. I never thought to be a banker. I had no dream like to have like my own house. I only have a dream to speak enough German and have good job so that a German guy could accept me as, you know, as one of his, not tenant, what you call it? Yeah, tenant.
Tenant.
Yeah, a tenant, yes.
Yeah.
As his tenant. I never thought, why don't I buy the house and then have German people and Arab people as my tenants? You know, I never thought about this. So anyway, all I want to say is that you should always first make the decision, because no one can make for you. I am Australian. I love Australia, because if I didn't love Australia, I would have been in Lebanon or in Mauritania or in Saudi Arabia or in Emirates. But I love Australia. And I don't need to prove to anyone that I love Australia, you know. I don't need to prove it. Like in America, everything that Muslim Americans say, I love this country. You know, because they need to prove to everyone that they love America, because that message is to the FBI. It's not to anyone else. They just want to say to the local police, the FBI, by the way, I know I'm Muslim. I know I sound bad. I know I look bad, but I love this country. Maybe I'm upset with this country, but I just wanted to write on my record that I love this
country. It's like I think I had that conversation with Imam Sohaib Webb. I had him on an episode before, and he said every time they want me to like condemn the terrorist behavior, as if I know what the terrorists thought, or I am like the terrorists. Like, we have to. Why don't you Muslims condemn? I'm like, we're not the terrorists. I don't need to apologize to every terrorist. Does every white person have to apologize to the crazy white person who just went on a rampage and just shot hundreds of people?
Yeah.
They don't need to go and apologize for that. So I don't represent a terrorist.
No, because we are not. Even though I have to say one thing, you know, I agree with you totally, but I have to say anything because I'm much older than you are, and I hope I'm much wiser. This is a little bit like insult, but I say it anyway. I don't accept terrorism as a crime in a democracy because of the following. First, terrorism is not clearly defined. Every country has different definition. Two, all the crimes of terrorism are already covered by other laws. Murder is murder. And the good thing about murder that every country agrees on what murder consists of, how to define murder. Third, terrorism is abused. And
100%.
fourth, terrorism is a God-given to dictatorships and authoritarian regime to oppress peaceful political dissent, you know? And you just look at the record of Guantanamo Bay, the most powerful country in the world. They are around 800 people. Not one single person was successfully convicted or for the heinous crime that happened on 9/11. And I'm friend of some of the victims of 9/11. I love them, they love me. And they have no justice 20 years on, you know? All I'm saying is just this about terrorism. And you know, we say in Mauritania, اللي ما هو في السراق ما تأخذ القصاصة. If you're not a thief, you are not afraid of investigation. We are, you know, if someone crazy committed a crime, whatever that classified as terrorism or not, because, you know, if it's a Muslim, it's terrorism. If it's non-Muslim, it's a crime, different crime. Okay, I'm not discussing this, or I'm discussing, I am not the violent person. I am the victim I am the victim. I am with the victim. I identify with the victim, not with the crazy person, And that's exactly what you said. I just said it in different words.
In a much wiser way. I'll take that.
Yeah, but old people can say that.
Yes, they can. and no offense taken. Jazakallah khair for this. I still have a lot of questions. I have questions about the movie, meeting Jodie Foster and Benedict Cumberbatch and Shailene Woodley. And I'm like, how did this movie become like a Hollywood adaptation? It's like a crazy thing that they actually decided to do your story. But I feel like I've taken a lot of your time. I know you're a busy man, but hopefully that will be to be continued. Basically, I will definitely reach out again for another interview, because I can speak with you for hours on end. Subhanallah. So لا يمل in Lebanon we say لا يمل, which means we never get bored from conversation with you. So subhanallah, definitely to be continued.
When I see the violence in Lebanon, I cry so much because I love Lebanon, and Lebanon is the powerhouse of culture in our world. And I said, if I was the president of my country, I would invite Virus and give her the highest Islamic award that exists. And I said Islamic, not Arab, because she's a Christian. What she brought for the Islamic culture, I don't know anyone who is living who brought to our culture, because she resurrected the wealth of Andalusia in her. And I grew up listening to Feroz, in the
Me too.
I didn't even know she was not a Muslim, And all I'm saying that this diversity, alhamdulillah, that people now talk about diversity like a sexy thing, but we live diversity, even we didn't know it was called diversity, in Lebanon.
Yeah.
And destroying that, makes my heart ache so much, and I really love your country, in your country.
I know.
I hope, I pray for peace.
Inshallah.
When you're done recording, I want to show something.
Yes.
See whether you know.
Jazakallah khair for joining us, and inshallah we'll get to meet again.
Ya Rab, okay. I want to show something.
Yes, show me. If you were as inspired by Mohamedou's story as I was, then be sure to share with family and friends to spread the word far and wide. This helps us create more inspiring stories to share with the community.